Alright guys, so what I didn't realize was the first video that I put up, there was copyrighted music. So I'm going to walk through and add some pictures that I took through the cut down and see if I can get, the most help possible for you, because out of hundreds of wood doors that I've done, this is the first exterior metal door that I put on the inside for a cut down, and it was interesting. So basically what I did was, of course, I took the door off the jamb. The existing jamb, I knew the door had to be 4.5 inches shorter, so I took 4.5 inches. I measured my line on the bottom of the door. If you notice, the bottom is almost the same size as the top panel, so it actually, aesthetically, it came out pretty nice. And then from there, what I did was, the existing door had a fold over of 3/16. So then I measured out towards the bottom, so I'm cutting less 3/16 off the door. So my actual cut line was 4 inches and 5/16. I cut that, then I 45'd the corners, right? So I took I took metal shears, snipped the corners on a 45. I should have a picture of that. Folded them over, rolled them, so then I can then cut 3/16 inch off of the outside of the door. When you cut the door, you're going to notice that the two outsides are actually wood. So it's wood, then styrofoam, then wood. After I cut the bottom off, I took off the existing bottom door track. I took that out of the piece that I cut off. I took my router. The piece that I cut off is going to be 1.25 inches, I think it was. But then remember, I've got the 3/16 fold over. So I took my router and I routed out the styrofoam to 1 inch and 7/16. Once you route out the styrofoam, 1 inch and 7/16, you're going to take the piece that you took out, the bottom door track. You're going to put that back into the bottom of the door. Then what you do is you take a rubber mallet and very slowly bend the door crease over. Okay, that extra 3/16 of an inch, you're going to bend that over the existing door track. Once the existing door track is solid, you then take a metal hammer, a regular framing hammer, not milled. So if you don't know what that means there's no cut pattern. It's just a smooth top framing hammer. Then you tap that in on the bottom of the door track, and that's going to make it flush. Now you essentially have an existing door again. Okay? From there, you would take the bottom of the door, the actual weather stripping, and put it back in. I don't do that. I don't like those weather strippings. It's not that I don't like Geldwin doors. I think the Geldwin weather stripping is lacking. So I go out and I get a Frost King. If you can see, actually, I'll see if I can zoom in for you. That's a Frost King. Okay? I prefer those much better than the Geldwins. I take that. I make sure my spacing is good before I screw. Once I check the spacing, I tap every hole. I screw the screws in. I close the door, make sure the fitting is good. Now, before that, I forgot, I'll tell you, the door jamb comes apart pretty easy. The new gelled ones, they have screws. You unscrew it, you take it off, it comes down to the wood. You cut at the lowest part. If you notice, with the saddle is on an angle. From the lowest part of the angle, you measure up 4.5 inches. You cut that. Then you measure 3/4 of an inch higher than your inch, because that's the gap difference. Okay, so it's actually a quarter of an inch. On the angle, you have to match the angle of the saddle. So your inner stop, your door stop, so that's the piece that this weather stripping sits on. You take that weather stripping out on both sides. Okay, it's a pressure fitting. It pulls right out, and the bottom. This is the angle I'm talking about, right? So your right side is longer than your left side by, I believe it was a quarter of an inch. So on the actual jam, it goes from an inch to 3/4. So you measure out that distance. You cut the door stop, not the actual jam. The door stop gets cut on an angle, a quarter-inch angle. You take that off. I routed it. You don't have to route it. You can use a chisel if you want. Chisel it flush. I might have a picture of that. I'll put it in there. Then you screw the jam back together, and that's the easiest part. Okay? Once that's done, you have an existing door. No rubs, no stops. Guys, if you have questions, I know a lot of people don't want to pay somebody to do this. For somebody to do this, it's quite a bit of money because it's quite a bit of work. They're not fire rated, but in this area, if you take a wood door and put 1/8 of an inch of metal on the outside of the wood door, on the garage side of the wood door, that's fire rated. So theoretically, this door is code. It's just not fire rated. Okay? Please ask questions. I'm here to help. I'm sorry the original video. I had a much more detailed video for you. It got deleted. It's plain and simple. I apologize for that. If you have any questions, throw them in the comments, and I'll try to answer them as fast as possible. All right? Thanks.